Hi, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Kemp. Today, we are going to take what we have learned about opinion writing and learn how to make an opinion letter. It is really, really similar to what we have been doing. All that we're really going to do differently, excuse me, is that we'll be starting it with dear and then the person who we're writing to's name. And we'll be ending it with from or love or sincerely and then your name. All of the other stuff is going to be pretty much the same. We're still going to use Oreo. We're going to try our best to make it into a double stuffed Oreo, having a second reason and a second example for that reason. And that's about it. We're going to still use I believe, in my opinion, we're going to still use those phrases in it. So let's go ahead and get started. This one says, your parents have decided to let you participate in an extracurricular activity. So that means an activity that is outside of school. Or it could happen at school, but it's not during the school day. It's something else added on. Tell what activity you would like to participate in. Give reasons for your choice. So we are going to write a letter to our parents saying what activity we chose and give examples, reasons first, and then examples. So here's my plan. Remember, I'm using Oreo. This time I'm not going to write the letters out, but again, if you think that would help you, you can absolutely write those letters out. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so that we can fit everything we want to say in here. Okay, so if I got to choose any sport or other sort of activity to do, I would choose gymnastics. When I was younger, I did gymnastics for almost 10 years. So actually, I think it was a little bit longer than that. But anyways, I did gymnastics for a very long time when I was younger. So if I was choosing an activity, I would choose gymnastics. So that would be my opinion. Remember, in my plan, I do not need to write whole sentences. So all I wrote for opinion was gymnastics, and that's totally fine. Next is my reason. I think gymnastics is really fun. So I'm going to write that, really fun. An example of why it is fun. I'm going to say there's so many things, there are so many reasons that I think it's fun, but my example I think that I will use is that you get to jump on trampolines and into the pit. And if you don't know what the pit is, it's this big pit filled with these like foam cubes so you can jump into it and it doesn't hurt when you land in there, and it's really, really fun. So my opinion is gymnastics would be the activity I would choose. My first reason is that it's really fun. My example of that reason is that you get to jump on trampolines and into the pit. Now I'm going to come up with another reason. I think one reason that I really like gymnastics is because there's so many different parts to it. So I'm going to write that, different parts. And what I mean by that, my example is there's different events that you can do. It's not just the same thing over and over again. You can swing on the bars, you can do the balance beam, you can tumble on the floor. So there are all different things. So I'm going to write the different events for women's or girls' gymnastics. So there's the vault, which is what you run and you jump over and you flip over it. There's the bars that you get to swing on. There's the balance beam, which is really skinny and it's hard to stay on it. And then there is the floor, which you get to tumble on, and it has springs underneath it, so it's a little bit bouncy. So that's my example of what I mean by there are different parts to the sport. It's not just the same thing over and over again. And then my opinion, I'm going to say my opinion again at the end, is gymnastics. That's the activity that I would choose. So I'm going to use what I planned, and I'm going to put it, this time I'm going to make a letter instead of just writing a regular one. So let me go in here. 1 second, this is not cooperating very well. Okay, I'm going to make this a little smaller so I can fit everything. And I'm going to start, when I start a letter, I always start with dear. So I'm going to pretend like I am a first grader who wants to do gymnastics. Dear Mom and Dad. And then I'm going to write my opinion. I want to do gymnastics. That's my opinion. Next is my first reason. If I forgot what my reason was, I can always go back to my plan. And my first reason was that it's really fun. I think gymnastics is really fun. I'm going to put an exclamation point at the end of that. I think gymnastics is really fun. You get to jump on trampolines and into the pit. That was my example for my reason. So I have my opinion, my reason, my example. Now I'm doing my second reason. If I forgot, I can go back. Let's see. Oh, I remember now. I was talking about that there are different parts to gymnastics. There are so many different parts to gymnastics. And now I'm going to do my example, and I can even say, for example, you get to run for vault, swing on bars, balance on the beam, and tumble on the floor. So that's my example. That was a long one, but I was talking about all the different things that you get to do in gymnastics, all the different parts of it. And last, I'm going to restate my opinion. I'm going to say my opinion again in a little bit of a different way. So I'm not going to write I want to do gymnastics again. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to write gymnastics is awesome. Okay? So now I'm done with the opinion writing part, but I need to remember that this is a letter. So I'm not completely done yet. I started my letter with Dear Mom and Dad. I wrote my opinion, my reasons, my examples, and I resaid my opinion, but I still have to finish my letter. So at the bottom, since this is to my parents, I'm going to write love to close my letter. And then I'm going to write my name. Okay. Now, when you write your letter on Seesaw today, when you go onto Seesaw and see your assignment, it is not to your parents, it's to you're pretending that there would be a new student and you're writing about the most important school rule you think that we have at Pittsboro Elementary. So if it's a new student that you're writing your letter to, you probably wouldn't write love. You could just write from and then your name. But everything else I did on here, you can do exactly the same as I did. So it's pretty much the same as we have been doing, and all you're adding is your dear, and then your love or your from at the end, and then your name. Okay? So go ahead on to Seesaw and get started on your activity.